All right, but tonight's Game 7, even more intriguing in my opinion. This was the series I was most excited about. It's got the great storyline, and it's the Oklahoma City Thunder, of course, against the Houston Rockets. The storyline, of course, being that this was the blockbuster trade last year. Russell Westbrook for Chris Paul. Two superstars traded for one another. Chris Paul shocked. You know, he had signed up to be in Houston long term. He had forced his way there out of the Clippers, and then they just traded him.
Not only that.
Wasn't to get along with James Harden, yeah.
But the trade was, just being fair and honest, he was dumped. Like we don't want you.
He was dumped,
like that.
right.
Am I right?
Westbrook wasn't dumped.
No. Westbrook wasn't dumped.
Houston wants him. OKC's like, hey, we're not going to win a championship.
Right.
So we're doing you a solid. So
and we'll get something in return. Right. But Chris Paul was dumped by Houston. They did not want him. He didn't get along with Harden. There was just some issues going on, and they were basically saying, we can't win with this guy. That's really what they were saying. We can't
Which
win
was
with
a
this
mistake because 2 years before that, I still think Golden State would have come back and win. But, hey, they were up 3-2 on the Warriors going home. And so you got to give them that. But, Rob, I'm going to throw this question at you. Who has the most at stake tonight, legacy-wise? And most people are saying Harden or Westbrook. But there's a third guy, and you said it. It's Harden, Westbrook, or Chris Paul. Who's got the most on the line tonight?
I think when you say on the line, I think it's Chris Paul. And I get the Harden thing if they lose or whatever. You want to make an excuse that Westbrook was hurt to start this series and he was never really himself, and that hampered him. You could get away with that, Chris. Same thing with Westbrook. But Chris Paul in this case, because he was dumped, and if he was able, to me, if he had that great game in Game 6 to force a Game 7, we've seen this movie before. And then Game 7's a flop. And this team doesn't advance. If he's able to extinguish the Rockets and Harden and Westbrook and get his team that was supposed to be just fodder for the Western Conference and a rebuild, I think you'd have to look at Chris Paul differently. I think he has the most to gain and the most to lose. I think you can make a case for Harden and Westbrook and next year and a new coach and a new system. But if Chris Paul, again, comes up empty in Game 7 and it's just like what we've seen in the past, people will say he is who he is. He is who we thought he was. And if he were to upset them and win this, you'd have to give this guy like a hell of a lot of credit to be able to go where he had to go with no expectations and get to the second round.
I totally disagree. And I'm not saying Chris Paul doesn't have anything to gain from a victory. Of course he does. But let's face it, Chris Paul's legacy is set. Great player, all-time great point guard. He's never going to lead a team to a championship. Now, if he goes and joins LeBron somehow or joins another great player where he's a second or third guy, he's a facilitator, still a clutch point guard, he could win it. But he's not leading anybody to a championship. And going to the second round of the playoffs, even in a great upset, isn't changing his legacy because it's the second round of the playoffs. And they're going to get hammered in 5 games at the most if they get to the Lakers. Westbrook, I think, is a similar situation. We know what Russ is. He's an all-time great individual player. I will back Russ against anyone as far as his legacy. He's a great individual player, will be iconic for the 3 straight triple-double seasons, but you will never win a championship playing the way he plays if he's your number 1 or really number 2 guy. He was with Kevin Durant for 9 years, 8 years. And now he's with Harden. His style is just as great as he is individually. He's not winning the championship. It was similar with Allen Iverson. It doesn't mean you weren't outstanding first ballot Hall of Famer, but we know what Russ is. Harden is the guy. Now, I don't think Harden's going to win a championship playing the way he's playing. but I think the jury is out more on him than any other player.
But I think there's too many excuses that you could make for Harden.
What? I mean, Chris Paul doesn't have a second star, so even if we say Westbrook was out,
Westbrook,
he didn't have a second star.
That's a part of it. And then he has the all-time worst. I know you want to put him in the Hall of Fame. He has the all-time worst.
Well, he's in the Hall of Fame.
The all-time worst.
You don't bury the lead. You going to tell me James Harden's not yet a Hall of Famer?
No, not James Harden. I'm talking about the coach.
Oh, okay.
D'Antoni.
Okay.
And then he has like the worst the guy who's put up more wins during the regular season, but futility when it comes to, getting to a championship. And he's had great teams. So he also has that albatross around his neck. And that's Mike D'Antoni.
If Harden loses tonight, you think people are going to give him a pass?
Yep. This season. Yep. Because
No
I don't
way.
think I do.
If you lose in your first round to freaking Oklahoma City with the guy you jettisoned.
Did you just see how Westbrook played in Game 6? How poorly he played? I'm just telling you.
Harden's got to take, because what people are going to say, if Harden doesn't take control tonight, and if he lets Westbrook be the main guy, people are going to kill Harden for that.
No, they'll kill Westbrook for not acquiescent, not giving in, and letting Harden be that guy. I mean,
I think they'll kill them both. I think they'll kill them both, but I think Harden, they're all great individually. Okay, I think you can argue. I would take Harden over Westbrook, but you can certainly make an argument that Westbrook was better than Harden because triple-double 3 years. Like you said, Rob, those triple-doubles came in wins. He did go deep in the playoffs, earlier in his career. But Harden, 3 straight years leading the league in scoring. Some people saying he's the best one-on-one offensive player they've ever seen. Some people putting him ahead of Michael Jordan in that regard. And we know he's had problems in the playoffs. And if he were to go down to a lower seed that has one aging star who's a point guard, I just think Harden's got the most to lose. But 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369 is your turn to weigh in. Who do you think in tonight's Game 7, OKC Houston, has the most to lose legacy-wise?
And I think that Chris Paul, when I say that, not that it's about losing for him, he has the most to gain. He was the one who was the cast-off. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard for me to say.
I get that, and that's true. But let's be honest, Rob. Is his legacy changing if they win this game?
I'm not saying
that.
It's the way people look at him. The way people look at him will change at least for right now. And then who knows as he finishes up his career. That's all I want to make it clear. I think he has a lot to gain if he's able to pull this off.